Hi, this is Chris, and welcome to Coding in Public. Today we're going to actually do something similar to the last video with a little announcement bar, but this one, when you click any of these buttons, it'll actually grab whatever you like, and it'll throw it up here in a little announcement. After some time, that will fade away, and you can click another one. And you can actually click multiple ones just like this, and it'll just change out the text, and then after that same amount of time, it'll drop away. If you want to get rid of it sooner, you can click that, but then as soon as you click something else, it'll come back up. So this would be like a notification if somebody clicks something, and you can actually use some data attributes here to set the text content of this announcement bar. So let's jump right in. Okay, so I'm not going to redo all the CSS that I did last time. It's basically the exact same with a couple of small changes. So right now it's hidden back up here behind everything, and if I change this, you'll see that. Here it is right up top. So let's leave it up top just for a moment, just to kind of chat through what we're going to do. We do need to add one final thing, because you'll notice we actually want that to kind of slide in and out. So we're going to come to this announcement area, and we'll say transition all 300 milliseconds ease in and out. Okay, so it will eventually kind of slide in and out when we need it to here. One other thing we're going to do is add an on-click to this button that runs a function hide announcement. Now we did this on our last video, but I figured if you haven't watched it, you do need to know to add this. Everything else here is kind of set up as it was before. We've got this announcement kind of div area. I've collapsed everything else just so it's a little more readable. We've added the styling in these style tags right here, and the intention there is that it'll load really quickly, and so as soon as we load our page, it will show up. Let me switch this z-index back, and let's jump over to our announcement.js. I've got it linked down here below after the body all loads. So we're going to just write a little bit of pseudocode here so we know kind of the steps we're going to take. So we'll do our query selectors up here. And then what we need to do is set the position of the announcement. Some kind of function that will do that. We need to handle when we close the announcement. And we need to handle when we click any button, and then we'll finally add our event listeners. Okay, so that's kind of the steps we're going to take, and we need to grab several things here. The query selectors we're going to add up here are things that are going to be needed throughout the rest of the document, so we don't want to scope them to an individual function. So the things we're going to use throughout the rest of the document will be our announcement, that actual whole kind of area that holds the announcement area. So we'll come in here and do document.querySelector, and we just called that announcement. That was the class. And we can come down here and console log our announcement, just to make sure that we've got everything hooked up correctly and it's all working. Come into here, and when we reload this, there's the whole kind of div showing up. Okay, perfect. The other thing we will need is our buttons, and we'll do document.querySelector all. And here we want to grab, we called them card buttons. All right, and let's go ahead and grab those to make sure that is working. It should give us a list of 4 buttons. Here's this node list, and it's got all 4 of these buttons. And you'll notice as I'm hovering over them, it's showing up above which button I'm clicking on or hovering over. Okay, so for now, that's all we will grab. The next thing we want to do is, let's go ahead and set an event listener for all the buttons. Let's come all the way down here and we'll do buttons, which is this constant we declared up here. We'll say for each of these buttons, here's what we want you to do. Okay, so we're going to add an event listener on each of these. And the event listener is going to be a click. And when we click, we want to run a function. We'll call this handle clicked button. All right, now it's going to yell at us because it can't find anything called handle clicked button because we haven't created it yet. So let's come up here and create that function. So we'll say function handle clicked button. And what do we want to do? Well, we need to pass in an event because we actually want to figure out which button we clicked on and then do some kind of locating items in the DOM to make sure we can select whatever we like clouds or water or whatever else. So let's come in here, and we need to grab a few things. So if you'll notice over here, we've got the way this is structured is we've got this announcement text. This is what we actually want to switch out. And if I were to expand this, you'll notice that each of these cards has a data item. Now, whenever you're adding your own attributes here, you always want to add that with a data dash whatever. And that will make it available to you, but it's obviously nothing standard. There's no standard attribute called data dash item. And so here's what we're going to grab and replace our standard text here. These are the things you need to know. All right, so we're going to replace that with whatever the data attribute is. So the first thing we need to do is actually grab the data item that we're looking for. Okay, so we'll say const announcement text. All right, and that's the actual paragraph text there. And what we want to do is say, all right, we want the event, we want the target of the event. This is going to actually pass along whatever we clicked on. So if I come down in here and say console.log announcement text, and I come over here, when I click on this, it should actually pass this button itself to me. And you see that's what it does. Click here, it passes that button to me. Okay. Now, what do we want to do with this target? Well, we want to actually grab not the button, we want to grab the data attribute. And again, coming over here, we're clicking this and we want to come all the way up here and grab this data item of you like clouds or whatever it happens to be. Now, if you do a query selector, it actually searches down in the DOM looking for something inside this button element. So that's not going to help us. If we did like query selector data item, it's going to look inside the button. There is something we can use, this method we can use called closest. And closest actually searches up in the DOM and it looks for the closest item that matches whatever attribute or whatever like class or ID or whatever we pass to it. So that's what we want. We want the closest card, all right, because that is where this data item lives. So if we come in here now, this should pass this entire div to us when we click. And you see that's what it does. We've got the image, we've got the header, we've got the text, we've got the button, we've got everything. So how do we access that data set? Now that we've got the closest card, we can come in here and do data set. And now we just pass it whatever that data dash item is called. We'll just call it was the item, so that's what we want. So now when we click this, it should say you like clouds, you like water, you like mountains, you like trees. So what we've done is we say, hey, we want to click a button, run this function. It's going to search up to get the closest, the button we clicked on, that target. We want the closest thing up the DOM tree called with a class of card. We want to grab from that card its own data set called data dash item. So you'll pass data set dot and then item. You don't have to do data dash item because that's what data set means. It's grabbing from anything named data dash. All right, and the dash, the thing that follows the dash in this case is item. So that's perfect. Now what we need to do is actually update that announcement text. So let's come in here and grab that announcement text and let's just call this announcement P. All right, here's what we want to update. We will grab that announcement or document.query selector. And I think earlier I said that we were doing a query selector of the actual thing right here. That's not true. All right, now we're doing that. Just wasn't thinking at the time. So we'll come in here and do announcement text. That's what we called it. And now if we want to come in here and say announcement P, it should actually pass along that announcement text that is in there. So if we click on anything, it should pass, that entire area. These are the things you need to know. And what we want out of that is we want the text content. So if we click again, it should just pass the actual content of those P tags. We're not going to do it there because what we actually want to do is update it. So we'll come in here and do announcement P.text content is equal to announcement text, our new announcement text. And now if we come in here and we click, it'll actually change that. Let's go ahead and switch this over so we can see what's going on here. Let's come back up here to set it higher. And then we'll come in here and click. You like clouds, you like water, you like mountains, you like trees. Okay, so we're doing something. This is good. All right, now let's switch that back over so it's hidden again and remove this console log. So we've gotten a lot of what we need to get done, but we do need to figure out how to move the position of the announcement. So let's come up here so we can actually do that, and then we can close it. Until we can see it and click it, we can't really close it. We'll do function show announcement. And we'll come in here and we want to actually grab, let's see, the nav height. In our last video, we kind of explained how this worked, but all we're going to do is grab the height of the entire nav. And this means no matter what we do with this navigation, kind of in real time, we're grabbing the height of that. So we always make sure that we move it down the exact right amount rather than like hard coding that in CSS or something like that. So I'll come and do here and do query selector. And we want to grab the entire nav element, and we're going to grab the offset height, which includes both the padding, the margin, all that kind of stuff. We've got that now. And in fact, if we come in here and do console log nav height, it should give us the actual pixel amount of that I guess we need to run show announcement. Okay, and if we run in here, you'll notice right there 64 pixels is what that is. All right, so perfect. That's what we need. And now we need to just offset the entire announcement container that we grabbed up here by this nav height. So we'll do announcement.style.top equals, and let's do backtick so we can interpolate this variable. We want the nav height, and then we're going to follow it with pixels. All right, and then let's see, we actually need to run this when we click the button as well. So we want to first update the text, and then after we've updated the text, we're going to run this show announcement function. So if that worked correctly, we should be able to come in here, and there we go. We click this, and it just switches over. That's perfect. All right, now for some reason, this transition is not working. We'll come back and figure that out in a moment here, because that should be working for us. Should be sliding down when we do that. All right, so we'll figure that out. We do need to actually now add this function to close this. When we click this, it should actually do something. You'll notice, or you might remember, we added that onClick function of hide announcement. So that's what we're going to call our function here. So hide announcement, if I can spell, and let's just console log why you hiding me. Okay, so we click here, should show that. We click this, we console log why you hiding me. All right, perfect, we're done. No, just kidding. So we're going to want to come in here and change this back, announcement.style.top equals, and this time we just want 0 pixels. All right, so if we come back in here, click, that should fade away, but it's not. Undefined is not an object. Line 13. Cital. That won't do anything. Neither will Sagital or whatever that was. All right, click, come in here, and it hides it away. Oh, and it's even sliding now. Perfect. Moving in and out, just like we want it to. Now, we could say we're done here, but we wanted to add a little timeout thing. So when you click it, it doesn't stay there for eternity until you clear it. So we're not forcing people to clear it. And so let's actually add some kind of a timeout feature here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say set timeout, and this is the same as doing window.setTimeout, because set timeout is scoped, I think is the right word, to the window. So we're going to say timeout, run this function. Let's just call it, and then we can pass in a value in milliseconds. Let's just, for example's sake, just do 1000, which is 1 second. So we come in here, we click this. After 1 second, it should fade away. All right, that's perfect. Let's leave it there, but notice what happens if we click here and then click here and then click here and then click here and then click here. All these timers are kind of running each time. Let me show you what that looks like. Let's say we wanted to run hide announcement, so let's do this. Console.log stop hiding me. All right, so we come in here, we click, and every time we click, you'll notice it's adding a new one of those hidden functions, but it's acting very oddly. If we come in here, click, and then click, and then click, and if it hasn't had time to run yet, it'll kind of jump up and down like that. So we need a way to actually cancel out this set timeout if we click another button before it's had a chance to run. So let's come in here first of all and make this a little longer. And I think that'll even exacerbate, make it a little bit worse here as we click. You'll notice we've added 4 now timeout features, and now it's jumping 1, 2, 3, 4. It's running them one after the other. And if we do 1 and then 2 and then wait just a second and do a third and then a fourth, okay, now the first one's going to fire and it'll pull that away. And if we try to run this again, we're probably going to get another one that fires early. So the timing is kind of all off, which is why we need to cancel that set timeout a little earlier if we can. So to do that, it's not too difficult. We're just going to add two things. We're going to add this let timer. We're just going to declare it and not set it to anything. We're doing it out here so that we can kind of have this original let value set and then in this actual function manipulate it. So all we need to do is do clear timeout, and here's what we want to clear. We want to clear the timer. Now you might say, okay, well, how's that helping us? Well, we're actually going to set this set timeout to timer itself. Now what this means is we've set this timer. The first time this runs, it's going to clear it, but it's not doing anything, so it's not going to hurt anything. And then it'll set the timer to this. If we click any other button, it's going to handle this click button. That will update the text, then run this show announcement, which will first, before it does anything else, clear any timers we have going. Then it will start another timer right here, which means we won't have duplicate timers running. And in fact, if we come in here and click, and then click, and then click, before that would have ran 3 different timers. And now you'll notice we still have our console log going. After 8 seconds, it will say stop hiding me only one time. And that's exactly what we want. Now to make sure this is all working exactly as we planned, click here. We need to be able to close that out early. That's exactly what we get to do. Same thing here. We can click these multiple times back and forth. You like trees, you like mountains, you like them all. And you'll notice it just stays in there, and each time it's resetting that 8-second timer, but we can close out early if we want to. Well, hopefully that was fun and taught you a little bit about using data sets and working up the DOM tree by using this closest, and hopefully even just that nav height, offsetting that. Several of those different kind of elements working together can provide a kind of a cool experience for your users as they click on things in your web page. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope that was a help. Leave any questions you have in the comments, and happy coding.